Hi everyone and welcome to the latest episode of 10 Minutes With. Now I recently got talking to a volunteer who works with me at St Luke's Clothing Bank in Hounslow, and I found out that she also works for a local food bank. As always, I was very curious about this and she agreed to sit down with me and have a conversation. This is 10 Minutes with Hope Church Hounslow Food Bank. Hi everyone, it's James and I'm here with the lovely Avril Geary, who is a colleague of mine who also volunteers like myself for the St Luke's Clothing Bank. But she also works for a local food bank. So we're going to be asking her some questions about that, the work that she does, and the philosophy behind it, that kind of thing. So, welcome, Avril.
Thank you very much, James. Very happy to be here talking to you.
I'm so pleased to speak to you. Honestly, it's a real treat for me to speak to you.
Likewise.
So let's jump straight into it. Why did they decide to set up a food bank at St Paul's?
Well, they set it up about 9 years ago, and it's been running alongside a community cafe. So I think part of the impetus for it was to have a community cafe, but also because there was obviously a need for a food bank within the area. It started off very small, but I should say, unfortunately, really, it's grown over the last 9 years. I always think a food bank is one of the few businesses or organisations, whatever you'd like to call it, that actually doesn't want to be growing, that doesn't want to be successful. But unfortunately, that's not the case. It has grown very much over the last 9 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it? I know myself from working at a food bank myself years ago. You don't want it to be needed, but it is good that it's used because, you know, so I can understand
Absolutely.
that one.
I mean, we would all like our society to be in a place where people don't need to go to a food bank to feed themselves or to feed their families. But until we get to that point, then obviously food banks are needed to help people who are struggling, suffering financial difficulties.
So, what is a food bank? How does it work?
Well, there are different models for food banks, but the one that I work at is a food bank where people are referred to us by professional individuals or organisations who are familiar with their situation. And once people have a referral, they come to us. We have 2 locations for our food bank. One is at St Paul's, which is on Bath Road in Hounslow.
I know it well, yeah.
And the other one is at the Good Shepherd, which is in Beavers Lane. Now, those are both locations for Hope Church.
Okay.
So people are referred to us, and once they have a referral, they can have 6 visits to the food bank. They come along, they can have a cup of tea, a piece of cake at the community cafe, and we give them a parcel of tinned and packet food. So that will be things like long life milk, tea or coffee, breakfast cereal, biscuits, tinned fruit, tinned veg, tinned meat and fish if they're not vegetarian. And we also provide people where we can with toiletries, because if people are struggling to afford food, quite often they're struggling to afford toiletries as well. We also sometimes have people asking us for pet food, because once again, if you're struggling to feed yourself, pet food is expensive as well.
Yeah.
And it's a difficult situation enough to be in, without feeling that you can't feed your pets either. So we give people the tinned and packet foods, but we also partner with a great organisation called Surplus to Supper, who go and pick up from supermarkets. So they pick up from supermarkets any of the fresh food that the supermarket is not able to sell because it's on or very close to its use-by date, which is brilliant because it means we can also give our guests bread, fruit, vegetables, just whatever happens to be available that day. But of course, it also is, great environmentally because it saves that food just being wasted.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if it was mainly tinned food that you offered, but you can, through this partnership, offer fresh stuff as well.
Yeah, absolutely, which is great. I mean, it's a little bit random what's in the bag of fresh food.
I can imagine.
It just depends what they picked up from the supermarket that morning.
Yeah.
But no, it's great to be able to do that as well, and that happens at both the locations, at St Paul's on a Wednesday morning and also at the Good Shepherd on a Thursday morning.
So it's run under the guise of Hope Church, but in two separate...
Yes, Hope Church has those two locations.
And that used to be St Paul's?
It used to be called St Paul's, but it now, to encompass both the locations within the parish, it's now known as Hope Church. So we're Hope Church Food Bank with two locations.
Fantastic, I love it. So, what is your job? What do you do?
Right, well, my job is I'm part of a fantastic team of volunteers and staff members from the church who run the food banks. My job as food bank coordinator is to be at the food bank on a Wednesday and a Thursday, but also to deal with the administrative side. So I'm dealing with emails and phone calls from people wanting to know how they can come to the food bank and get a food parcel, from professional individuals and organisations such as social workers, employment advisors at the job centre, schools, anybody like that wanting to know how they can refer people to us, and also dealing with queries from all the incredible people who donate food and money to us, because we just wouldn't be able to exist without that kind of support.
If someone wanted to donate to you, how would they go about it?
Okay, so there's various ways they can go about it. There are collection points for tinned and packet foods. Obviously, we can only take the tinned and packets through donations, not the fresh food. There are collection points in various local churches, such as St Mary's in Spring Grove, St John's in Isleworth. So it's worth, if anybody wants to donate, it's worth them contacting their local church and finding out if they have a collection point there. There are also collection points at the branches of Sainsbury's in Hounslow West, so that's the one in Upper Sutton Lane and on the Bath Road. They can also bring donations to us when we're open, and it's also possible to make a financial donation as well for anybody who's not able to go to the supermarket and buy anything for us. And so we get donations from individuals, but we also get donations from schools at harvest time and at Christmas as well, which is fantastic. From local businesses, we have an amazing level of support. There's a pub in Hounslow which supports us. There are people who drink at the pub bring in donations for us. So from all over the place. So it's fantastic.
But can people just come to you? Do they need a referral?
They do need a referral, but what they can do is, if anybody comes into the food bank for the first time and hasn't got a referral, we will still give them a food parcel. We absolutely would not turn them away. We would give them a food parcel, and we'd also give them a letter which explains to them how to go about getting a referral. So that explains to them the sort of people that they could try contacting who might be able to help them. And
so
we
you
just
can
talk them
signpost
through
them
Yes, absolutely. We can talk them through the process. Absolutely.
Fantastic. So we talked about how people can donate. You've given us the locations of all the donation places, which I shall be henceforth looking for quite diligently in my local area. What about if someone wanted to volunteer, are there paid positions that you offer, or is it purely voluntary?
Yeah, no, it's purely voluntary. We have various volunteering opportunities. If anybody who's listening would like to volunteer or find out about volunteering opportunities, the best thing to do is email. And the email address is foodbank, that's all one word, at Hounslow, all one word, .org.uk, and that comes straight through to me. So if anybody has any queries about volunteering, about donating, if they'd like any more information about how the food bank works, then just contact me on that email address.
And that's direct to you.
Yes,
okay, I will put that on screen on the video version of this podcast, so you'll be able to read it on the screen, and probably repeat it a little bit at the end as well.
Great.
So, what? I was just curious. I know that you offer food support, but is there any other kind of support that you offer? I know that some food banks, clothing banks, etc., offer help with charging your electric key and things like that. Do you offer anything like that?
We ourselves don't offer that, but what we do is we work in partnership with lots of other brilliant organisations. So every other week at the food bank, we have representatives from Crosslight, who are a debt counselling agency. They're always there to talk to people who are having issues with debt, or to help them make sure they're claiming all the benefits that they're entitled to. We also have representatives from Hounslow's Community Solutions, who can obviously help local residents with all sorts of queries. We have Richmond Aid come to some of our sessions.
A friend of mine works with Richmond Aid, so I know them very well. Yeah.
Brilliant. We've hosted learning and employment sessions. So yes,
wow.
we have a lot of leaflets available. So yes, we're very keen to signpost people to other sources of help, because nobody wants to be in the position where they're coming to a food bank. So anything that we can do to help them, to help them move on and find a way of moving away from the food bank is just what we want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I know myself when I worked for the Ivy Bridge Food Bank, the main ethos that we had was, as much help as possible, signpost them to wherever we can, but because I know personally how it's not embarrassing, but how upsetting it can be for people to feel the need to go to a food bank. So the idea is that you basically encompass them and just be like, right, okay, well, we can offer this and we'll signpost you to this, and at least give them a little bit of stability and let them know that actually it's not a scary place. It's a very welcoming place, isn't it?
Yes.
I think people sometimes get the wrong idea of food banks.
They do.
They're very welcoming, especially the one I worked for. It was very welcoming. It was about sitting down, having a chat, and just getting to know people and being a constant for however long in their lives, just to offer that support.
Absolutely, and that's why we also think it's important to have a community cafe that runs at the same time as the food bank sessions as well, just to make it a warmer, more friendly environment where people can have tea and cake, and people can just come to the community cafe as well, and some people do. They're not there for the food bank at all, they're just there for the social and community aspect of sitting and having a chat. Have
you ever had clients that then later on became volunteers?
Yes, we have. We've had that happen in the past,
I love it. Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Yes. So we really work to. Yes, now we completely understand that some people would find it very intimidating and upsetting and embarrassing, but we have a great team. They're very friendly. They're very approachable, and they all work really hard to make people feel comfortable. So these are the statistics just for our food bank
Just
in
for
our
your
community
individual food bank.
in Hounslow West.
Right. And is that the only is that your catchment area, Hounslow West, and further beyond, or do you?
Well, we were accepting people from pretty well anywhere in Hounslow, but unfortunately, because the level of demand has gone up so much over the last couple of years, we've had to limit it by postcode a little bit, and also because there are other food banks in the Hounslow borough. And we have a list of those available. So if somebody's referred to us who's not in our catchment area, for want of we can say there are these food banks in Brentford or Feltham or wherever. So our food bank so far this year, that's since January, at our 2 locations, and bearing in mind it's just one session a week, we've served 3,440 guests. And we have provided food for 9,627 adults and children. Now, the difference between those figures is obviously because some people are just there to collect food for themselves, but other people are there to collect food for a family of 5. And so we collect the statistics, and we keep the statistics for the number of people that we're helping to feed, as well as the number of people who walk through the door. So you can see from that why we need a high level of donations, why we get through a lot of stock every week. It is. I mean, it's much, much higher than it used to be. The numbers really went up, obviously, at the start of COVID. They hit a peak then. Then they sort of started to even off a little bit. But over the last few months, they've really started to go up again as a consequence of the increase in food prices, the increase in fuel prices, just a general state of the economy. So,
and it is your food bank. Is it independent, or is it part of the Trussell Trust?
No, it's not part of the Trussell Trust.
Okay,
it's independent. It's independent. Yeah, it was set up by Hope Church. And it's run by Hope Church.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, give us your email address again, if you would. Just if people require more information, they can contact you.
They can. The email address is foodbank, and that's all one word, at Hope Hounslow, and that's all one word, .org.uk.
Fabulous. And I apologise for the noise in the background. We are currently recording this in the middle of the Treaty Centre. But thank you so much for actually taking the time to sit down with me, because I know busy schedule, life gets in the way, and we don't always have time to do things like this. So I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
For the opportunity, Jane.
If you'd like more information regarding making food donations or requesting a referral, please email foodbank@hopehounslow.org.uk. You can also make a monetary donation by going to www.easydonate.org/JRQQ02. Join us this January and February when James will be talking to the charity shelter and organisation Richmond Aid. Take care and see you in the next one.